Let's rip it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. How's it going, Giants fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo, and today we want to take a look at Evan Neal's pass blocking snaps from week 1. Of course, we've been waiting for this opportunity to see him in live action in a real game where everyone's going 100%, and of course, Giants walk away with a big win in this one, but not without faults. The offensive line faced a lot of adversity. They really struggled aside from Andrew Thomas, who was absolutely dominant, 31 pass blocking snaps. He gave up 1 pressure. He's definitely looks like an elite left tackle. I don't understand the national attention he's not getting. He should be getting a ton more, and I think he will as he continues to dominate here as the season progresses. But Evan Neal specifically, he looked like a rookie, man. He looked like Andrew Thomas as a rookie. You know, he really struggled. His grades were bad. He played in, 61 total snaps, so every offensive snap. He played 31 pass blocking, 30 run blocking. He had a 30 run blocking grade according to PFF and a 56.2 pass blocking grade. So take that as you will. We're going to take a look at the film. We're going to look at exactly what he put on the film, and he definitely had some balance issues. I watched it through. He was kind of thrown around a little bit. He has some really good reps. Most of them were a little bit spotty. I just find that he looks a little bit slow at times. He definitely doesn't have that quickness that you may want just yet. Maybe they ask him to lose a little bit of weight. He's kind of heavy footed against faster edge rushers. He just kind of gets beat. Like he can't react fast enough. Like Andrew Thomas, he reacts so freaking fast. And you're going to see that while you're watching Evan Neal. You're going to see Andrew Thomas kicking some serious ass at the same time. Before we dive into the film though, Anthony, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, and I gotta say though, when you take a look at the New York Giants offensive line and the matchups that they had, up against the Tennessee Titans defense, the Tennessee Titans do have an excellent defensive front. When you're taking a look at it, of course, you've got Jeffrey Simmons up front. He was the number 1 graded defensive lineman for PFF this week. So clearly, we know that there were some struggles at left guard. They rotated in Ben Bredesen and Joshua Zito. Jeffrey Simmons did take advantage of that, and he was pressuring Daniel Jones rather frequently while also making an impact as a run defender. But Bud Dupree up front is also a solid player. They had some really good guys up front. So, for all of these young rookie offensive linemen that the Giants are putting out there, Ezidu, Evan Neal, John Feliciano's first game with the Giants, Andrew Thomas was excellent as we expected him to be. And I agree with you, Alex. He deserves more credit, more attention from the national media. But this is a brand new offensive line. It's going to take some time to gel. And when we take a look at Evan Neal's tape, you'll see there was a lot of struggles in the pass blocking department. Honestly, it was a rough game for Evan Neal as a pass blocker. I don't think he was all that bad as a run blocker, but in pass protection, I think that he did look kind of slow, as you mentioned, Alex. I think his feet not quick enough. He needs to work on that. But a lot of what I saw wasn't, like he had problems with strength or anything. We know Evan Neal is a big mammoth of a human being, super strong, can outmuscle and outpower anybody. But it looks like it's about technique. He still doesn't have the technique learned, doesn't have it down, and it's going to take some time for him to refine that. This won't be an overnight fix. Don't expect Evan Neal to go out there in week 2 and just all of a sudden be a dominant right tackle. It's probably going to take a few weeks, maybe even the course of the entire season, like it did for Andrew Thomas, as you mentioned, Alex. So Andrew Thomas in his rookie season, he had some good games, but he had some very bad games, similar to, the level of where Evan Neal was in this week's game. So, but now we're talking about Andrew Thomas as being one of the best left tackles in the NFL. So just give it time. Evan Neal, he's going to struggle early on, but he'll get there eventually. And a lot of the flaws that we're going to watch on this upcoming film, they are very correctable issues. So I'm excited to dive into it, take a look and see where Evan Neal went right and where he went wrong.
Yep, so let's jump right into it here. Okay. This is going to be an interesting video in terms of you're going to see a lot of bad. You're going to see some good. You're going to see powerful hands, but you're going to see a lot of imbalances. He looks like he's chasing a lot of times. He doesn't exactly know how to do it. And like you look at Andrew Thomas, we'll run it through like 2-3 times. That way you can see how much better Andrew Thomas looks. So we can kind of contrast and compare between Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal and exactly, the differences in their game right now. Because obviously Andrew Thomas has 2 full years of experience, whereas Evan Neal has 1 year of experience. So let's kind of take a look here. It's fine. He's rolling out design play. It's fine. Nothing crazy. Daniel Jones getting the ball out really quick right now because he doesn't necessarily have a lot of faith. Andrew Thomas does a pretty good job on the outside, pushing him beyond. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll say, though, on that snap, like, there isn't so much to take away, but one thing that I will take away is and this is going to be, I'm just pointing this out now because you're going to see this across the film, is that initial lunge that he's doing. He's like lunging forward. His body weight is getting over his toes. And that's where the most of the issues are going to come from on this film. You can kind of see like the foreshadowing of it on this clip. Not a super important clip, not too much going on. But the lunge forward where he's putting all of his body weight in front of him, that's where a lot of his issues come from. And it's going to show up on the tape. And you're going to see why that's his biggest issue and how it led to a lot of his mistakes.
He just looks imbalanced. Like you see like his recovery, he looks like he's just kind of not squared. It looks like he's just kind of falling over all the time. You'll see that a little bit more here. I mean, he just runs right by him. I mean, he completely oversets this. Like when you see Andrew Thomas, like he's so reactive. Look how quick his feet are. And then Evan Neal's are just slower. He looks like he's not really reacting. He's just moving for the sake of moving. You know what I mean? It's a good move by the pass rusher.
I think he's a little focused on his kick step and, you know, sliding out and trying to get to the right spot. But I think he's overcompensating in a way, right? Like he wants to get to the spot, but he's like not actually mirroring the defender. He's just running to the spot before the defender, which is a very easy way for the defender to say, oh, he's just running to a spot, so I'm going to go to a different spot and beat him on the inside, which again, rookie offensive lineman, this is something that Andrew Thomas, this was his cardinal sin throughout the entirety of his rookie year, but it's something that we could see now. I mean, what a rep from Andrew Thomas on the left side. He looked phenomenal there, but look at the difference in the feet and how quick they move and how efficient they are getting out of their slide. So, you know, their kick step. So,
yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if this is just because the pass rushers lined up a little bit more outside for Andrew Thomas, but look how much deeper he gets. Like, look at the step right here.
Where you have it paused right there is actually perfect. You can see the difference between Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal perfectly here on this pause. Yeah. Look at the balance that Andrew Thomas has. All of his weight is shifted behind him. Evan Neal looks like he's tripping and falling here. He's like very awkwardly stanced and sideways. That kick step, the first step, needs to really kick out and gain you that depth. If you're making up the depth on your second, third, and fourth step, you're already screwed. It's that first step, which Andrew Thomas has down, but Evan Neal here, you could see very short and not high enough off of the ground. You need to bring that leg up and then kick it back. That's why it's called the kick step. He doesn't really kick. He kind of just shuffles, and that's what gets him into trouble here and consistently across this tape.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, you see Andrew Thomas, look how deep that kick step is getting. Like he's getting vertical with it, and Evan Neal's kind of going horizontal with it. So I don't know if it's maybe a specific fundamental they're trying to teach, a specific set. I don't know what it is exactly, but you can see Andrew Thomas, and this is pretty consistent from him. He does this pretty much every rep. He gets very deep, and he's so much faster. You know, he's very fast. So let's see what he's got here. It's a good rep, just getting in there. Obviously, he's a big guy. You know, he's a huge guy. When he gets there in the trenches and he's got his hands on you, you can't bull rush him, really. You really got to beat him with speed. That was a good job. They tried to run a little stunt there. Daniel Jones kind of just tries to maneuver and maneuvers right into it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll point out here, this is one of his better reps on the film, and most of his better reps are going to have a like a constant in them. There's a pattern to it. This is off of play action. So he's actually run blocking to begin the rep. If you watch, he's firing out of his stance and then lunging into defenders like he's run blocking. And that's where Evan Neal does a lot better because he's just more suited as a run blocker. I just don't think he knows how to play with his body strength right now. Like he's such a big, heavy, strong guy, and it seems like he doesn't know how to use that in an agile way. So when they do put him onto the play action, you're going to see better Evan Neal's reps in pass protection. But when it's a true passing set and it's just shotgun snap and go, that's where he starts to struggle. So I'm curious to see if maybe next week against Carolina, the Giants run a heavy amount of play action just to kind of help Evan Neal ease into the game and get some good blocks under his feet, start to gain some confidence and get him going. Because if you're run blocking to start the rep, but it's run blocking in pass protection form, that will help Evan Neal out tremendously.
Yeah, two things I want to point out here. Glowinski gets absolutely pushed back into Daniels' lap. Look at Andrew Thomas on this rep. I mean, what more can you ask? He grabs the pass rusher's right hand and completely stabilizes him using his own hand. That is unbelievable.
That's how you counter,
unbelievable.
Man. That's how you counter.
Crazy counter. Wow. I mean, this
Evan
is turning
Neal
more
is
into
a special talent, bro.
Andrew Thomas or Evan Neal?
Andrew Thomas. Sorry, Andrew Thomas is a special talent, man.
I mean,
he is really coming into his own.
This is quickly turning into an Andrew Thomas hype video. All right, let's move on to the next one. I've probably replayed that one 1,000 times. See, it's better. It's better.
Yes. I agree. It is better. I think he starts this clip off right, but I still don't feel like he's gaining enough depth on that kick step.
Exactly.
Again, you watch Andrew Thomas and how much depth he gains on that first step. You're not seeing that from Evan Neal. He's
Mm-hmm.
gaining far less depth, and that's why on this play he gets beat around the edge. I think the hands were solid, though. He does get the hand on the inside. You know, the 1-2. It's the maneuver where you want one hand on the chest, one hand on the shoulder, and that's how you'll turn them. He does that fine, but he doesn't have the proper depth. So the lineman is able to outrun his hands and then get into the backside of the pocket. So on this play, again, you're seeing the footwork or the lack thereof, refined footwork coming into shape and creating more issues for Evan Neal.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. It's one of his better reps, which is, doesn't say much. You just got to get a little bit more depth. I think that's really what we're seeing so far. A little bit of imbalance issue, a little bit of balance issues, a little bit of depth issues. Yeah, it's fine. This doesn't really come to his side of the field anyway. Andrew Thomas, once again, absolutely locking down. I mean, Daniel Jones just runs right into him, but
Yeah, that's
it's
not Andrew Thomas's fault, but Bud
not at
Dupree
all.
really did get shut down very frequently. And I think this play is like the perfect example of having zero balance. Look at how he's just running completely hunched over like that on the recovery too. And then the defender stops and he runs past the defender because he's got no balance. Like I get that he's recovering, so he wants to beat the guy to the spot, but you can't be running hunched over like that. You're tripping over your own 2 feet, Evan Neal. Like that's where the issue comes into play with him. Again, talking about balance, talking about footwork here. This is not a very good recovery. I think it's a good hand fight from the edge rusher, to really fight off Evan Neal's hands. And Evan Neal tries to recover, but the way that he's just running over his toes like constantly, it's putting him into dangerous situations.
Yeah, this is a good little chip block by Saquon, by the way, on the left side on Dupree. But, Evan Neal here, I like the aggression. He's just leaning forward a little bit. Like if you ever watch Andrew Thomas, he doesn't really lean forward anymore. He punches those hands out instead, right? Instead of kind of leaning forward and putting his weight into it, he's just using his arm extensions. He's just kind of using those arms. He's powerful arms, and just keep the pass rusher at bay. I think that Evan Neal's being a little bit too aggressive in terms of using his upper body and leaning forward. Just punch your arms out there. Like he loses his balance right here. His legs are crossed up. Now he's running. You know what I mean? Like use your arms, keep your balance, keep your whole body squared, and mirror this. This is what Andrew Thomas has been doing and what he's been displaying on film, just mirroring the pass rusher, using his arms to push off and give him a little bit of leverage. So Evan Neal, obviously, there's a lot to learn. But, you're seeing it's cool to see like Andrew Thomas on the other side doing it well and being able to contrast it and compare it to Evan Neal, because you're seeing exactly what we saw from Andrew Thomas as a rookie. It's kind of funny, actually. It's almost identical, the problems we're seeing right now. That's a good rep.
This was his best rep. This was his best rep in this game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, this is, like I just said, use your hands. Stop leaning forward. He uses those hands, bam, pushes that guy to the ground. That's insane. So much power.
If I'm not mistaken, this was at the change of the quarter. That's why the camera flipped. So, there's definitely probably, they went into the break and there were some coaching points, because I do think that the film gets better as it goes on towards the end. I think he's playing his best. I think at the beginning, it was his first snaps in an NFL game, and he did have some struggles, and they do show up later on, but he does get better as the film goes on, and you'll notice that.
He does get a lot better as the film goes on. So that first half, the entire team looked like crap the first half, though, for the record. So except for Andrew Thomas.
Well, this was a really good rep, though. And this next one, again, you're seeing him just running with his weight over his toes, and it gets him into trouble. It's all really what I'm seeing with Evan Neal. A lot of it is just footwork related. I feel like his hands you haven't even had the opportunity to see him properly use his hands or get beat by his hands, because it's just all been footwork getting him beat before the snap even begins. And that's where he keeps getting into trouble. He's playing from behind on every rep. He's playing in recovery mode on almost every rep. And that's where you're seeing some problems. But this rep was very good. A great stunt pickup. Great to recognize the stunt and then pick it up here and to anchor as well. So this is a really good rep by him.
Yep, very nice. Yeah, this is just good football IQ. Picking up the stunt. You learn this being at Alabama for so long. Really good recognition here. Good job. That's what you want to see. That was a very good rep from him. Another very good one. Look at the hand fighting there. You can't move the guy. The guy's a rhinoceros. Look at him.
Yeah,
Look at this.
again,
He's trying to move him. There's no
another
way.
really good rep here, and the anchoring. I mean, you can always count on Evan Neal to anchor. I don't think you're going to see him get put on his ass too frequently. It might happen here or there, and that'll be because of his balance. But he's not going to get ragdolled very frequently. You'll have to go up against the best of the best to watch that happen. But this is great hand fight, and again, like I mentioned, it's been hard to see him have a rep where he's able to get his hands on and clinch and actually anchor because he's been getting beat so early on in the rep with his feet. But on this one, he gets a decent kick step out there, slides out in front. He's able to get his paws on the defensive lineman. He's able to lock him down. That's really just the key here for Evan Neal. We know he's got good hands, strong hands, and a lot of power. It's just about getting those feet right, getting into position so that he can actually utilize his hands and utilize his upper body strength.
Yeah, I mean, his feet don't cross here. That's kind of what I've been waiting to see from Evan Neal. His feet cross, and then he's running. Right? Here, look how square he stays. His feet don't cross. By the way, another Andrew Thomas masterclass rep. Look at this recovery. Look at the leverage he gives himself with his feet. He resets those feet so fast, man. Absolutely incredible. He's
also, did you notice that Bud Dupree punched him in the head on this play?
Just like uppercutted him.
Yeah, he went right to the face mask.
He's getting mad.
Yeah, I guess he didn't like being shut down by one of the best left tackles in the NFL all day.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, that's a good rep from Evan Neal. Good job by DJ to scramble it up for a couple yards. So that could be a fumble. That could be a strip.
Yeah, it's a decent recovery though. He did a decent job pushing him past the pocket and not making it a fumble. But again, like we've said, it's a footwork thing. He's not at the spot in time. And Bud Dupree is a very athletic edge rusher. You got to give credit where it's due. Like Bud Dupree is one of the faster edge rushers. He is a total speed rusher. And so, he's going to beat offensive linemen to the spot frequently, but it's about how they recover against Bud Dupree that you want to see pretty, executed well. And I think that on this play, it wasn't the worst execution on the recovery.
I think DJ helps him out by moving up in the pocket a little bit. He feels that pressure. So good on DJ to do that. But again, Andrew Thomas here, I mean, for goodness sake, again, this is a Andrew Thomas highlight video. Oh my God. Every rep we're seeing here, he's looking like an all-pro.
Feet, though. You got to look at his feet. His feet
I know.
Are incredible.
That's what I'm looking
at.
He
looks majestic.
All I'm looking, he's like a unicorn, man. It's like
he's like so huge, but he's moving so quickly. It's like almost scary. It's like it's really cool, actually.
It's unbelievable. I mean, every rep I'm focusing on Evan Neal, and I just get distracted by Andrew Thomas kicking ass. Except this play gets beat a little bit around the edge. DJ makes a run. This is one of the best throws I've ever seen from DJ, by the way. Let's see here. Very nice rep from Evan Neal. Very nice rep.
Solid rep, and it turns into a touchdown. So
yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Josh
like this
Zudu ends up on the ground.
Yeah, I want to point that out. I like this throw from Daniel Jones. I mean, I don't think it was his most difficult throw. It was a busted coverage, so he's throwing to somebody wide open. But I will say, just the fact that he was able to get this ball off with two dudes rolling around at his feet. He throws it off his back foot. I got to give credit where it's due. Daniel Jones getting that ball out there, getting enough underneath it. It's kind of tough to do that when you've got someone in your throwing lane. You got to fall backwards and whip it 40 yards, but he does it. So credit to Daniel Jones on this one.
His dropbacks are not as far as they used to be. You notice that? They're much shallower.
I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive tackles and their kick steps. It's right. Probably a coaching point to try and help out Evan Neal. There's definitely an element of the coaching staff maybe not trusting the offensive line fully just yet. They will eventually, but for now, it's probably best that they just let Daniel Jones stand within the pocket and not have too deep of a drop, because then you're going to have, issues where the coaching point is likely for the offensive tackles pushing past the pocket, which, if you recall, when Nate Solder was starting his first year with the Giants, the coaching point in New England was push them past the pocket. But with the Giants, Pat Shurmur gave some really deep dropbacks, which was much different than what Nate Solder was used to in New England. So Nate Solder kept pushing them past the pocket, which was still part of the Giants pocket. So he kept pushing defenders right into Eli Manning in 2018. But we've seen now with this first game, a real change here in how the Giants, treat their dropbacks and treat their pocket, because it's much more shallow, which is definitely benefiting the offensive tackles through one game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, this rep is interesting. Like, you never want to turn your back to the pass rusher, but Evan Neal gets away with it. It's a pretty solid recovery. Unorthodox, but a solid recovery.
On this one, though, I actually think his hands were the problem. He uses his left hand here. I feel like Well, it's probably feet as well. If he gets to the spot in time, then he probably gets the right proper hand on him. But yeah, getting it turned around like that, he's lucky that the ball came out quick, but you never want to see that happen to
He's
an
running
offensive
though.
tackle.
He gets vertical. This is the problem. He's not staying square. He turns his body like upfield or downfield, I guess.
Well, check out how small his kick step is. His first step is very small. It's shallow.
Yeah.
He's not gaining enough depth on it. Just, watch the clip once, watch Evan Neal, watch the clip a second time, watch Andrew Thomas. You'll see there's a clear difference in how much depth Andrew Thomas gains on every single one of these snaps compared to Evan Neal. And that's really where his issue lies, is that initial step once the ball is snapped.
Dude's got to go do some yoga or something. He's not flexible. It's flexibility at the end of the day. That's really what his legs just can't, he can't kickstep that far.
Also, this play, I watched this earlier, and I was really confused with the effort on this one. I feel like, he was waiting for a defender to come to him so he could block, but on a screen pass, you got to get your ass downfield and start blocking. But there is also the opportunity. I don't want to totally chew him out here, because there is kind of the idea that maybe he didn't know Saquon Barkley had the ball just yet, and he didn't want to get an illegal man downfield penalty. So that's probably what this was here. I think that's what it was. But it is kind of a missed opportunity. Barkley had the ball, and Evan Neal wasn't lead blocking for him. I feel like, getting Evan Neal, that ginormous man downfield, lead blocking, you could probably do some busy work down in the screen game. But on this play, a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, even if he goes out to the flat there and just kind of gets out there and tries to block that cornerback who ends up tackling Saquon, there's things he could do, but that's, learning experience. Let's see. Nice double team. Ends up on the ground with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good rep.
He's was still a
little bit off balance, though.
He is still off balance, but his feet were a lot better there. He was much better at mirroring the defender here. On the second wave, he did struggle, but the kick step was a lot better to begin this rep. He slid out, got in front of Bud Dupree, and gave Bud Dupree some work there. So,
but you see his body get vertical again, right? Like his we should not see his chest. We should never see his chest from this angle.
Yeah, and you're right. It is a flexibility issue, because it seems like even when he gets his kick step right, he's not able to slide back. So it's like it is a flexibility issue. And, it's a lot of footwork, though. At the end of the day, it's all lower body, which is totally correctable. Lower body is the stuff you can coach. It's the upper body. If you're not strong enough or don't have powerful enough hands to do the right thing, that's kind of hard to fix. But you can definitely outcoach the lower body.
Yeah, he held here. That's a holding penalty. They didn't give it to him because there was an interception instead.
Yeah, he got away with one there.
I mean, it's definitely ugly. I'll tell you that. It's definitely ugly.
It's ugly, but again, that's expected. He's a rookie. It's his first game in the NFL, and he's going up against a great, defending team. But when you're taking a look at his snaps here, again, another play where it was play action. He did a solid job with the play action as a run blocker, but it was ugly, but there was a lot to build on for Evan Neal, in my opinion, because like I said, it's lower body issues. It's footwork and it's agility, but that's the kind of stuff that you can coach. If you're Bobby Johnson, you're Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, and you're taking a look at this tape, you're saying, okay, at least his hands are solid. At least he's strong. At least he's got the ability. Because really what you're doing in the NFL draft anyway is you're trying to find moldable pieces of clay. Some clay is softer than other clay, right? You're trying to find very soft clay that you can mold into a talented football player. And Evan Neal is a very soft piece of clay, and he's got a whole lot to mold. He's a huge piece of clay, and the Giants are probably really excited by what they've seen so far, because yes, he did struggle, but all of his struggles were totally correctable. And I think that's the main thing to take away from this film. It was an ugly week one debut performance for Evan Neal in his rookie season. However, all the issues were footwork related, something that Andrew Thomas had in his rookie season as well. But now Andrew Thomas is like a perfect coaching point for footwork. His footwork is incredible. So it is correctable. It is fixable. At least we saw that he has the ability to anchor. He has the power in his upper body, and he has good, strong hands to clinch onto defensive linemen. But now it's really just up to Bobby Johnson and the coaching staff to take a look at him, go through the film, work on his footwork, and get him up to speed and make him a really solid NFL offensive tackle.
Yeah, look, this is an ongoing process, right? We're being critical of Evan Neal because we want him to succeed. We want to see what exactly he needs to improve on. I'm sure the Giants are seeing this and a lot more. This is a guy who reminds me of Andrew Thomas a lot when he was a rookie. And at the end of the day, that's not a bad thing, because we know how Andrew Thomas has panned out thus far. Andrew Thomas was imbalanced. He was leaning forward. He did not have the right fundamentals at times, but I think the coaching staff will get it right. I think that Evan Neal will figure it out, and it just takes reps. He needs time. He faced off against some of the best defensive linemen in football this week. You know what I mean? Like, he took on the best of the best right off the bat, you know, a playoff contending team. This is a great, like, baptism by fire for him in the NFL. And I think that he'll only get better from here, and we'll see him have some standout games. I know the grades don't look altogether great, but there's a lot to like. There's a lot to, be optimistic about. And he's a young player with so much potential. And that's what we're excited about the most. But guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. Taking a look at Evan Neal's pass blocking reps. We'd love to hear your perspectives below in the YouTube comments. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.